Hey everybody, Mark Davis coming to you in the wake of our Thursday, January 10th, 2013 program. Got a question for you. What kind of country do you want to live in? Oh, it must be some rant coming from me now about gun rights or fiscal issues or national security. No, I'll get to those. I have a somewhat smaller, narrower focus for this what kind of country do you want to live in rant. What kind of country do you want to live in when you can't even call a pretty girl pretty? Yep. I'm going to the Brent Musburger story. It's Monday night. Like many of you, I'm watching Alabama dismantle Notre Dame, and I'm listening to Brent Musburger and Kirk Herbstreit. And tracking Brent has become a bit of an unintentional comedy passion of mine. Brent's very good, and his voice is the soundtrack of my life, really. He's 73 now, and therein might lie part of the problem I'm about to unravel to you. But Brent could be a bit of a self-created adventure. There are things he'll say that are a little over the top, a little colorful in some excessive way, and I don't know, it's a lot of fun to listen to Brent. Well, some folks apparently thought it wasn't fun when they focused on Catherine Webb, who is A.J. McCarron, quarterback A.J. McCarron of Alabama, his girlfriend, who is a beauty queen. She's Miss Alabama, was almost Miss USA. I mean, she is stunningly pretty. So what does Brent Musburger say? And with Kirk Herbstreit doing color commentary alongside him, it's like, wow, that's just a beautiful woman. And then he goes a little further and said, boy, Kirk, you quarterbacks, Herbstreit was a quarterback at Ohio State, you quarterbacks get all the fine-looking women. And then he goes a little further and says, if you young boys are in Alabama, you may want to get out in the backyard and throw a football around with Pop. You've heard the audio. And I'm listening to this, and I'm going, this is wonderful. There's nothing the matter with this. Next thing I know, ESPN is apologizing for it. What? Now, this is kind of funny because we can talk all day about whether Brent at 73, whether it gets a little creepy, boy, if I was only 50 years younger. I mean, did people hear that? Did they detect that? I mean, if he had turned to Herbstreit and said, boy, I tell you, Herbie, well, I bet you'd like to have some of that. I mean, I would be the person saying, wow, Brent, dial it back. That was really inappropriate. But all he said was, she's a pretty girl. That's all he said. And then, they had a little fun with it. You quarterbacks get all the pretty girls. And hey, kids in Alabama, boys, you might want to start throwing the football around with Pop. And the supposition being maybe you'll get a girlfriend that pretty. And this is bad. Why? Was it sexist? Was it misogynist? Was it harmful? Was there any kind of malintent? Catherine Webb herself and her boyfriend, the Alabama national champion quarterback, both think this is ridiculous. They love Brent. They got no problem with this whatsoever. I wish America was as comfortable with itself and as even-handed about this. And here's what's funny about the ESPN apology. I'm starting to hate apologies. Apologies are great when they are appropriate. If I've wronged you, I will apologize. If you've wronged me, you should apologize. But apology, we become crack addicted on apologies. Like, well, we got to make sure we get an apology for this, even when there is no basis for it. ESPN showed this girl 47 times, they're no fools, and then ran stories about the whole thing, which was just more excuses to show her. She is a beauty queen. She clearly enjoys showing herself to some degree. Good move on that, by the way. So everybody from Catherine Webb to her boyfriend to her parents seems totally comfortable with the notion of Catherine being a really, really attractive woman. And so Brent talks about this for like 20, 25 seconds. Maybe it seemed a little longer. Kirk Herbstreit goes along with him, and this all of a sudden is viewed as prurient. It's creepy. Is that the kind of country you want to live in? America needs an enormous infusion of sense of humor. And I got to tell you, here's what I think might have happened. Because I don't think even at ESPN they sat in the truck and went, oh, we're going to get in trouble for this. I don't think they did. I think some humorless dowagers wagged their big scolding fingers at them and said, it was terrible for Brent to do that. And ESPN just didn't want the phone calls. They just didn't want the emails. They just didn't want to fight the fight. I would have wanted ESPN to say, you know something? Brent and Mr. Herbstreit, they were just having some fun. It wasn't at anybody's expense. In fact, it was to uphold the fact that A.J. McCarron, a very talented young man, has a very pretty girlfriend. And you know what? If there's something bad about saying that, we sure don't understand what it is. And thank you very much for writing or calling or whatever the upset viewer or viewers did. That's the kind of country I wish it was. Maybe we can get that back. All right, discussing every day the kind of country you want or don't want. It's the Mark Davis Show, 7 to 10 Central Time. Fridays, if you're watching this on the day that I'm standing here, Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday, always a big day. 5 a.m., Bill Bennett's Morning in America. I get to do that every week, and it's a joy and an honor. That's 5 to 8, and then down the bat bowl to do 8 to 10 locally for the Texas listeners. Either way, thanks for listening. Mark Davis Show on 660 a.m., The Answer.